All right, let's get into 0 Day movie that is overlaid in your world right now. And if you have your eyes and ears open, you will notice that a bunch of movies are being overlaid into your world right now. And the 80s movies are actually being played out right now as you're entering Karate Kid, Bloodsport, Delta Force, all these little different things. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the 0 Day because we've had the hack attack by North Korea being shown on the 1.5 billion, and then the 1.5 is the flip side on the 51 for the Canada and those things. But the Gene Hackman died this morning, we're told, at 95 of the carbon monoxide and those things. The $2 million worth of Nike stolen from the Arizona trains. So that's just talking about a couple heists and hacks and whatever as these things are laying out from the spiritual into the carnal, and that's where you see the Gene Hackman taken, and the 9 times the 5 is that 45, and those things. But the 0 Day is talking about the homeland terror groups, and we've also seen the illegals brought in. So the vets and the illegals, the sick eagles and such, they can go in for some shots in those magazines, and those red caps should be replaying in real world to go out and play guns as men. So that's one aspect. The code speak that's being talked about on 0 Day. Obviously, if you follow my channel, it looks like could be talking in some type of code or whatever, and I don't see really any other channels like mine, or I haven't found any like mine. My closest thing is the wife, and I speak more in crazy man talk, and she brings in more like edible content for people to understand, I guess. Because anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So for those of you who are wondering about this so-called code speak or what I'm doing on here, I basically in 2020 given 3 nights of dreams. I was taken to a dark room. They seemed to last all night long. It didn't seem to be any rest. It was just a dark room, pitch black, nothing but white, glowing white, millions of angelic white glowing numbers. Okay, all sides, just everywhere. Okay, 3 nights, made me sick, and since then, things have been different. Okay, now after that, there was around a 6-month period that overlaid with Chapter 11 bankruptcy and losing all of our stuff. We had to move onto a farm that I owned, and I had to take 3 containers, and me and my dad, we remodeled it to where all these containers and such were connected, and we made a home of it, and basically made some type of shanty to live out of. All right, so we were able to eventually sell the shanty and get out of there after 2 years or whatever kind of thing. But might have been either way. So with what went on and the dreams, the first initial dreams, and then the months of travel that had us go from Wyoming down to SpaceX, I was like, I'm gonna go work for the enemy, that kind of thing. I'm just gonna, and I sent an application, took a camper down there. We were down there 3 weeks, He's like, dude, it's hot as shit down here. And either way, we got the hell out of there. And then we went over to Mississippi. She had family in Mississippi, and they actually are like a what we call an end times church, and they have like a camp. They're preparing for the kingdom and all this stuff. Like it's an end times compound or whatever. So there was that. We went to there not because of that, just because the Spirit was leading us to go over there, and it was just what needed to be done at the time. Then we went to Arkansas, back up to Wyoming. The second time we went to Wyoming, it did not feel good, and our camper got froze out, and then we decided to get out of there because the storm was coming. Anyways, we would have got snowed in for longer than we would have liked up there, and it would not have been good. So either way, the point is, all this stuff that I'm sharing, or the so-called code, or whatever people would be calling it, looking on, is I'm creating a legend or a base legend based around light, in a matter of speaking, okay? So, or it's based around Jesus, or it's based around Satan, or based around Trump, or based around whatever, okay? But the light and the ray of light and the Amun-Ra and all those things connect to that Lord God. The Lord God connects you to the sun, the dawn of time, all those things. So as these words are intermingling into different forms and structures throughout our world, it intertwines at connecting points for time. And this is where that little tree of light is sprouted. The word light has its central word, and then it sprouts off into ray. The ray goes to the ray publican, and that branch and those types of things has that red cap and whatever. But the red and the blue and the yellow and those things, those are the primary colors. They can't be made. All right, so that's where you are kind of like born into it, kind of thing. But with the red, blue, and yellow, they say, well, they can't be made. Well, they had to come from somewhere, because you got it in a bottle. All right, it's that kind of thing. And then that kind of goes back to Genesis 2, where you can show them in Revelation. You see a new heaven and a new earth. You see the span of time from Genesis to Revelation, to where you have an old heaven and an old earth. You see it here gathered in Revelation, then it restarts in Genesis, and it goes again. All right, so that's where you have it opened up, and the circuit board is free, and then you're going back to the Genesis, gathering it up as the day 7 and all that's gathered up. As they're taking into day 7, they're going into a whole new time of Satan's control, as the time of Jesus is overlapped on top of it. All right. So the code or whatever is just a base legend, and anybody can do their own legend, in a matter of speaking, okay? So you're just playing the game. You're putting away in the child's ways, and just a memory game, basically. And you say, okay, this word is showing up a lot, or this number. They are doing it with numbers a lot of times now. And they did a number cycle back in 2020 and 2021, and other people were seeing it too. And then I know other people personally who got downloads of numbers or info or seeing stuff, those types of things. It wasn't just me during this time, okay? And the wife has her own story of things that happened over the 6 months and whatever, and her getting sick during certain times and whatever. But I mean, it was a crazy time. The first time I went to Wyoming, we stayed, the lodge had like concrete walls this thick or whatever, right? And I was like, man, I just don't know if they're thick enough. And then the oil refining was across the thing. was like, dude, I cannot believe we have to sleep across from an oil refinery. Like, what if it's tonight? Blah, blah, blah. It's like all kinds of weird stuff going through my head. That was on the first trip going up. But once we got there, there was like a weird energy, but there was red dirt everywhere. And something told me, because I was living in Oklahoma at the time, that I didn't want to be around the red dirt because it was stained red. That's just like what the Spirit was telling me. Anyways, so the code speak, or the legend or whatever, this can all be done just through memorization in a way. So if you want to focus on, or like finding, you have to tune in first. So that'd be like Trump. Tune into Trump or tune on into Elon Musk. Okay, so Elon Musk has the M-U-S-K. So the M-U-S-K is the K-S-U-M also. So it's frontwards, backwards, then you can stack it, and then you get the E and the M together, and that's the me, and that's part of that me that he was doing on one aspect. But either way, I'm just showing you how this works, because you do forwards, backwards, diagonal, to the left, to the right, down the middle, or whatever. That's all the stuff I'm scanning, all right? And the stuff I share on the page is just like a just what I can fit basically, and what's just being guided at that moment, what's being tuned into that day or whatever. On my phone, I have like 50 or 60 pages open that I just gather and I watch through the week or whatever, and then I'll go back and see and compare notes on whatever kind of thing is going on. So just giving you, for the people who've been following, eyes and ears, or people just finding in, or whatever, the so-called code speak and 0 day or whatever that the FBI is watching and all this other bullshit or whatever. Okay, I'm just a normal dude. I've been praying for information since I was 13, 14 years old, and praying for information means asking for it and believing with it with all my heart, and whatever they tell you kind of nonsense or whatever. And then I went and I prayed for it as far as seeking after it. All right. So 80% of my days, 90% of my days, the things I asked for as a teenager, sitting there in youth group, about having the knowledge that I have now, or knowing what I know about end times and the mark of the beast and all these things, comes from prayer and living a life by faith, by seeking after Jesus, truth in this world. You don't find truth in Jesus, in the so-called church of Jesus Christ, when he said, I ain't the Christ and don't worship me. Okay? So there's many things that the church is going to have to hear and break down that old rot temple to be brought into what's left of America and what's left in the old temple to start building again. Okay? And as the bricks are being handed to them, be chop, chop, chop for the karate session for Daniel-san rising in the dojo that we see upon us now for the blood sport and whatever else that's got cracked open, and some flip-floppies for the sands of time.